Hey guys, did you miss me? Yeah, we had to watch some of those cartoons a couple weeks, huh? Because Pastor Brad was gone on vacation. Yeah, guess where he gotta go? He gotta go to a reindeer farm. Yeah, you'll have to ask him or Annika and Amelia about it. I think it sounded pretty cool. Hey, what do you guys like to celebrate? Huh? Do you like to celebrate your birthdays? Yeah? Do you like to celebrate Christmas? Or Thanksgiving? Or Easter? How cool do you think it would be if you could celebrate like your birthday and Christmas and Easter all in a row? Guess what? God did 3 feasts in a row. He did the Feast of Passover, the Feast of Unleavened Bread, and we learned about those a couple weeks ago. And this week we get to learn about the Feast of Firstfruits. That's kind of a weird kind of fruit, don't you think? I've never heard of first fruit. Well, it's not really a fruit. You'll have to learn what it means in the video, okay? Bye.
The Feast of the Firstfruits. Could you imagine how much fun it would be if you get to have 3 days in a row with different celebrations? God did exactly that. He set up the Passover, the first day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread, and a third celebration called the Feast of Firstfruits, all right after each other. The Feast of Firstfruits wasn't celebrated by the Jewish people until they moved to the Promised Land, which is where the nation of Israel is today. They couldn't celebrate it when they were wandering around the desert after God freed them from Egypt because they didn't have any land or crops to give. They ate the manna and the quail that God gave them. Moses commanded the Israelites to celebrate the Festival of Firstfruits. The word firstfruits means a promise to come. It marked the beginning of the cereal grain harvest. It was the feast of Thanksgiving for the barley harvest, the first grain of the season. It was viewed as a promise that other harvests would come and that God would provide them with everything they needed. The Jewish folks started the celebration off with a simple parade in the evening. Each year, the religious leaders would choose a field outside the city of Jerusalem. 3 priests would walk out to it just before it got dark. The people would follow. The priests would walk in the middle of the field to where a bundle of grain was standing. One of them had a sickle, which is a big knife they used to cut the grain. Another had a basket. They would ask the people, "Has the sun set?" And they would ask, "Was with this sickle into this basket? Shall I reap now?" The crowd would yell, "Yes!" after each question. Then the priests would cut the grain stalks down and put it in the basket. They brought the grain to the temple where they cleaned it and ground it into flour. They mixed it with oil and frankincense. They would wave the grain in front of the altar and burn some on it too. In Leviticus 23, God told the people to take a sheaf or bundle of barley from their field and bring it to the priest in the temple. The morning of the Feast of Firstfruits, each family would go to their own field and get the bundle of barley and bring some flour, oil, and wine as a food offering. They would bring a lamb as well. All of this was placed at the altar to the Lord, and afterwards families would go home and eat a meal together. All of this was done to remind the people of Israel that God was the provider of everything they needed. He would take care of their needs. Did you know that Jesus rose from the dead on the day the Jews celebrated the Festival of Firstfruits? The Apostle Paul tells us that his resurrection is like the day of the firstfruits for our resurrection. All his disciples were shocked when they saw his resurrected body. They were so happy to see him again. Because Jesus rose from the grave and conquered sin and death, people who put their faith in Jesus as their Savior will rise from the dead and get to spend all eternity in heaven or all their life with God. Jesus provided them everything they needed for this to happen when he paid the price for their sin. This is something we can celebrate and be thankful for too.
Hey, do you remember what firstfruits means? Yeah, it means a promise yet to come. It's not any kind of fruit at all, huh? Yeah, you don't want to eat that kind of fruit. But it is good to remember that God keeps his promises. Do you think it was hard for the people in Israel to rely on God for everything that they needed? Do you think it's sometimes hard for us to trust that God will give us everything we need? And do you ever think about what it would be like to be in heaven? What do you think it's going to be like? Well, you should ask that with your folks and ask them what they think. I think it's going to be really great because we get to be with God and all the people who love God. It's going to be awesome. Have a great week. Bye.
Story by Brad Voss. Images from Unsplash, Stock Unlimited, and freebibleimages.org.